but a guy that can't say no to us because he's addicted to us. He loves us. This is his favorite part of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, the rock and roll NFL Network reporter of the Stars, Mike Garafolo.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be flexible because I got to get some golf in. Is this high enough? Do I need to come up a little bit or no?
You're fine. You're good.
Right there's good?
Yeah, you're good. What do you mean flexible? Flexible moving forward or flexible right now?
I mean, I'm clearly not playing golf right now, but yeah, no, coming up, I got to get,
You tell me whatever you want to do. This is.
I got to work out on Tuesdays and Fridays. And then it's like my daughter's field trip on a Thursday, and then
I'm here to serve you.
We've talked in the middle of rounds. We're gonna have to do a little bit of that too.
You can do that. You don't have to do it. We can work. We'll work anything out. I enjoy. I think
golf. You enjoy. I wouldn't do it every week, but you enjoy the occasional. He's coming up 13.
I love that.
Talking football and also trying to figure out.
It's anarchy.
Yeah.
Are you a big warm up guy before you play golf?
No, because I don't get there in time. But when I do, I'm like, this is the way to do it. You got to get here early enough to warm up, do it the right way. Not for health purposes, but to get in the field. Because when you go to the driving range, is your first swing at the driving range the best shot of the day? No, obviously not. Right? 10 minutes later, you're like, okay, there it is. That one was pured. So why would you expect that would be the case when you go to the course? No chance.
Yeah, I don't like to waste all the bullets on the driving range and warming up. So I go up. No, this is what I do. This is my strategy.
You're hitting too many.
When I go play around a golf, I take a wedge out. I hit like 4 half swing wedges.
Yeah.
Then I go putt, and then I go to the bar.
But for some reason, the putting green is never like putt in the putting green. See, it never runs the same way as any other green on the course ever.
Never.
So
is what it is.
Yeah, you're putting and you're like, oh, that was a nice speed. I put it 2 feet past. You come to the first hole and you're just 20 feet past the cup. You're 3 more putts in from there.
Yeah, that's when I look for the card girl.
She doesn't really like you, by the way, just to be clear.
I first of all, I don't play that game either. So don't worry about it. I'm not sitting there flirting with her like I'm at a strip club and she likes me. Like I get the routine and the act. The other idiots, they don't get it. I get there, she pulls up, I order my drink. How's your day? Great, move on. I don't sit there and chit chat and waste 15
So
minutes.
if it was a cart dude, if it was a frat bro, would your experience be any different?
I wouldn't stop. I would just I'll get beers on the turn. I'm gonna freaking order from you. Leave me alone. I'll get it. You know what? Screw it. I got beers in the bag that I wasn't gonna have, but now I'm gonna have them.
I gotta stop asking questions. I only answered them here. Go.
Jesus. I mean, it's just terrible. If I saw a course that had a dude come out on the drink cart, I would just say, we're done here. And I'd leave and I would take the clubs back to the car.
I've never seen that. The only thing I've seen is at an outing, they've had a bar set up by a tee box and that was a dude there. But other than that, I've never seen a card
These
dude.
golf courses just get it. They're not idiots. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but they're not morons.
So Gray Zabel.
Yes. No. Before we get to Gray Zabel, before we get to the Seahawks draft, what's this bet you lost with Rap Sheet?
Oh yeah, he got me good. And as soon as I texted him, I was like, he knows something, because we had so many false alarms on Shador. It's gonna be that. It's gonna be that. It's gonna be, like all of us, like, hey, I'm here, and I think I contributed heard the Lions are taking him. And was told they don't have a pick in this round. I was like, okay, never mind. So we'd had so many by that point that he's like, I bet who wants to bet me that the Browns trade up over the Eagles? And he baited me. He baited me. Who wants to bet me? And I go, you're on. And then there was a whole exchange after that I intentionally left out. But at one point was like, if I'm right about this, you gotta post it and give me my flowers publicly. Okay, fine, whatever. So he was right. They traded up in front of the Eagles. The Eagles were not going to take him, but they traded up in front of the Eagles. That's not what he said. All he said was they're going to trade up in front of the Eagles and take him, and they did. So he just picked the right entry point.
Carl, what did you make of the Seahawks draft?
I liked, the Gray Zabel one seems like. What did you think of it, Mr. Draft and
That's
Develop
awful.
offensive line?
Awful. What did I say? Awful.
Awesome.
It was great.
Yeah.
I thought every pick was tremendous.
Yeah, Zabel was rumored to go as highly as 12 to the Cowboys, which I assume had it fallen differently. If they didn't get Booker, then maybe he would have gone there to the Cowboys. I did hear that Tet McMillan was another guy for them, but he was gone well before that. So Zabel at 18 is on the back end of the range that we thought he was going to go. So that's great value there.
It just felt, every pick just felt right.
Yeah.
It just made sense.
Yeah.
Like you look at it, like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And that makes sense. And
the Milroe
they're off
one,
the charts athletically. The whole class is just like God.
The Milroe one, I don't know if we talked about this, because I talked about him as a potential second round pick.
Yeah.
And I said, if you draft him as a second rounder and he never plays full-time quarterback for you, but he's a gadget guy and he's a package guy and he contributes that way, it's a hell of a second round pick.
Yeah.
Really is. Push it to the third round, even better. So I did like that one. The Iman Wari pick was being talked about as a surefire first round guy and he's going to be successful type of guy. Elijah Arroyo had a lot of fans around the league as well. So another one that makes, it's just
only just an injury concern there. I mean, that's just kind of will be a little bit of the red flag.
So once you get into day 3, it's, I'm going to tell you, they're all coin flips, but
the two best ones are the fullback, number one. First of all, Robbie Oots. Okay. Look at the guy. He looks like a fullback. He's got a mustache. I mean, so he's got a mullet in one of them. Oh God, I love fullbacks. I'm just so glad that fullbacks are back, at least with this team. Yeah, he's a monster. You see how big this guy is? He's 6'3", like 270.
Big fullback. I mean, in Baltimore they had Pat Ricard when Mike McDonald was there, so he sees the value of that other side of the ball, obviously from when he was there, but certainly sees the value of that. So I like it. The fullback is, I won't say the fullback's back. It never really went away, but a lot of teams, stocking up and seeing the guy at that position that can provide you more than just blocking. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, top 4 picks. And the Milroe one is going to be the most fun, right?
Here, I want you to do this. I'm not going to do this exercise for you right now, but and if this interests you, and it probably doesn't, but whatever. I want you to go read from your website from, is it Greg Zerline?
Lance Zerline.
Lance Zerline, sorry.
Was
Greg Zerline a kicker?
Yeah, he's Greg the leg.
Are they related by any chance?
They're not. They spell it completely differently.
Well, damn it. There goes.
Although Jimmy Garafolo spells it different than me, and we're surely related. It's like those family trees definitely connect at some point.
You look very similar. You do. Yeah.
From here down?
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly right. Go read Lance Zerline's write up on Milroe.
Yeah.
And then read his write up on Josh Allen. He copied and pasted the damn thing. I'm telling you, it is almost verbatim. I'm not jumping to that he's going to be Josh Allen. I'm just saying a lot of the issues that people had about Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. I mean, it's just a lot of the same stuff with Jalen Milroe.
All right, I'll do this later, but I'll when you say copy and paste, he's not.
No, I'm not.
It's not. What's the word I'm looking for? Plagiarism. You're just saying it's similar.
What he wrote, I was just saying, what he wrote, his breakdown of Josh Allen when he was coming out is almost identical to how he broke down Milroe. Big, physical, arm great, makes throws that other people can't make.
I do wonder that.
But the accuracy issues. He's like, they just have accuracy issues.
Sometimes you get sometimes they'd write up something and it's like, what a phrase. And it's like, they had to have used that one before, He can avoid a tackle in a phone booth like that guy. Like,
but do we forget Josh Allen's first few years in the league? It wasn't good.
Wasn't good?
Well, he he struggled. He's not Josh Allen he is now. Like, he developed into the quarterback he is now. It took him. He wasn't a hit right away, was he?
He came into that game against Minnesota, or he started that game against Minnesota as a rookie, and it was like, whoa, all right. Because he actually showed you with his legs what he could do in that game. I think he jumped over somebody. So.
Right. isn't that what Milroe's going to? I mean, right away, whenever he plays, whether it's the gadget stuff that that they'll use like Taysom Hill, not exactly like Taysom Hill, but like using him as a running back, as a running quarterback. I mean, those are the things that popped right away with Josh Allen. I just think when Milroe gets his opportunities, he's going to flash that because that's his immediate strength.
Yeah. But that's a way for you to contribute immediately, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're a quarterback and you're sitting. And if you're a third round pick, you're not playing right away. It's a way to get a contribution from a guy immediately. Again, I mean, the Jalen Alabama connection, comparing him so much to Hurts. I think Hurts was I think we thought more of Hurts as a passer coming out. The idea behind the selection for the Eagles was to make him that kind of a guy to play in the preseason.
But not polished, right? I mean, he wasn't a guy that you're like, he's a great pocket passing quarterback.
No, he was going to have a package of plays, and they were going to have him play in spot duty and in the preseason, and then potentially flip him for a first-round pick down the line. Just so happened he wound up being their franchise quarterback, took him to the Super Bowl. Sometimes you get lucky, but luck is putting yourself in position for these things, and I think the Seahawks did that with Milroe. I
mean, Josh Allen's first year, he had 10 touchdowns, 12 picks. He completed 52% of his passes. Second year was 58%, 20-9. It was that third year where it finally clicked for him. 37. That's what that is. 37-10. He completed almost 70% of his passes, over 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying he's going to be him. I'm just, my whole point, like looking at the two, was he was not, even though he was drafted in the first round, and he's bigger than Milroe, even though Milroe's big. But then you look at Josh Allen, like, my God, he's an alien. But it's just like guys can get better.
They can get get better. I mean, I don't know if he'll get the reps that Josh Allen got. He won't, the consistent starting reps. That's not the plan, certainly with the signing of Sam Darnold, but it wasn't the plan for Matt Flynn either. And they changed course. I mean, I think that's part of it. Is once you get into year 2 of this Darnold contract, if Milroe's showing you some stuff, you adjust midstream, and at that point, who cares? You're going with the guy that's the better solution for you long term. But in the meantime, you got to get another guy that they have to spend time preparing for. That's another thing that teams think about, is like even just during the week, they're spending time on him, which takes away from time on this guy here.
Exactly. They've got whatever package they put in for him, and now all of a sudden you're taking away, I don't know, X amount of time in your practice as a defense to prepare for the Milroe package. I would imagine that teams, when they face the Eagles, I don't know how much time do they give to how are we going to defend the tush push? Maybe not much. I don't know, but
you can't rep that. You can't rep that. That's the problem. You can't do full contact rep. You got to talk that through in the meeting room more so, and maybe do it in a walkthrough style fashion, but you can't really do the full practice against it, and the Eagles can't practice it themselves as much,
right?
Or really any. I mean, you got to do that kind of live, which is why we've said this before. Teams that try to do it midstream, like, hey, we're just going to do the touch, but it doesn't work that way. You can't just snap your fingers and do it. There is a cadence, a rhythm to it.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for the Milroe pick, not just because how they're going to use him this year, and just with McDonald's experience back in Baltimore, how they used Lamar Jackson early on, and then again in a year from now. 2 years from now, if he's the starting quarterback for the next decade for this team, that is an A++++ draft, because you got him in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
you just got a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and then you say on top of that, they got a tight end, they got themselves a safety that's that they're has been a cornerstone for them in the back of the secondary. They got themselves a guard in Zabel, a guy who's going to contribute. So yeah,
who likes Bush Lights? Likes to crush a Bush Light every now and again. Who doesn't?
Does he now with a name like Gray Zabel? That doesn't surprise me.
Who would have known? Farmer, North Dakota, Bush Light, and then the other pick, the one we're familiar with this guy out here because he played his first 2 years at Oregon State, which is. Corvallis is just south of Seattle. But to get Damian Martinez in the 7th round, it's thievery. Just thievery.
I'd be lying if I said I knew enough about Damian Martinez.
He's a stud.
I'll take your word for it.
He's beast mode 2.0.
I do love that too. There's a lot of this guy's a steal in round 7.
Yeah.
Listen,
well, we all like to say that.
I know, and sometimes it pans out, but there's a reason sometimes guys are available in round 7.
Hey, you got your wish. You got your wish. You wanted one thing when we last talked to you. The first round of the draft. You said, the best thing would be for Sheduer Sanders to slide because it's entertainment.
I didn't say that.
Yes,
Don't
you did.
put that out there. That's not what I said.
You said, well, okay. You in a way, you said that.
You are horrendously misquoting me, and now my DMs are flooded already. I can feel it.
You said it would be, if he falls, it does provide an entertainment.
And what were the numbers this year? What were the numbers?
It was wasn't it the second most watched? I don't know. The TV numbers were huge.
I didn't say I was rooting for it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not
saying you were rooting for it because you said
you literally said you got your wish. You said that's what you said. Now, people who didn't see the previous show, there's probably a few of them. I mean, most people watch religiously every minute of the show, but those people are probably like, "Whoa, wait! He was rooting for that."
Not rooting for it, but
to his DMs we go.
But understanding that it makes for good television, and I don't know if it was good television or not. I was religiously connected to you guys, so I wasn't fixated on Kuiper and those guys. But I thought you guys handled it well. I mean, Rich Eisen was I think was the final day was a little adamant about it, but I didn't think you guys dwelled on it. But it was a huge storyline, and how surprised were you that, not surprised that he fell, but I would assume fell that far?
Anybody who tells you they're not surprised is lying. I mean, everybody had him day 2 at the worst, right? Day 2 at the latest. We talked about, before we went on the air, or before we went off the air, day 1 on NFL Draft Kickoff, which was 4 hours before the draft. The last thing I said was, one of the last things I said, we said over under on quarterbacks 2.5. I said, I'll take the under in the first round. And I don't know that one of the two is going to be Shador at this point. And, but to say like he's going day 3, now you get to that point and people want to know, and like, there's just no way you're taking Dylan Gabriel ahead of Shador Sanders. There's just no way, right? That's what happened with Cleveland. But you get to that point and it's like, all right, we know this dude's coming in. He's going to be a backup. Do we really need all the extras that come with it? And then that's why it becomes an extended slide at that point. Like, you're either good enough to be drafted and like you got a shot to start or compete or whatever. Then it's rounds 2 and 3 where it's like, this is a guy we're going to take, and he's going to sort of be a backup. He's a Jalen Milroe type guy, Jalen Hurts type guy, and maybe he's our guy of the future, but we're not banking on it necessarily or giving him a clear path there. He's going to have to fight his way through to that. And then it comes back to, well, now it's just, how do you pass up the value at this point? So for them to take him at that point, you almost wonder at that point, well, could you potentially give back the Gabriel pick and go, hey, can we repick that one there? Because we took this guy now.
Do you think do you think the GM and the coach wanted him? I know people have speculated on that one. They didn't look all that enthused.
Oh, I wouldn't read too much into that. I mean, that's the Joel Embiid when he got drafted, and it was like a delay or whatever. It just wasn't timed up right.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think at that point, and they traded up. I mean, if it wasn't like, well, I guess we got to take him here. Like, they moved up to make it happen. So yes, I do think they wanted him. And if it doesn't work out, okay, so what? Right at that point of the draft, you're coin flipping it anyway, whether the guy's going to be in the roster week 1. So
why? So the biggest question, everyone, why?
Which part?
Just why did teams, I mean, everyone, this was the topic du jour all weekend. Well, why? Why did he fall?
Because he did not comport himself well in the pre-draft process. Let's take the Giants, for example. Late last year, they're at Colorado at a practice during the season. They're there out in full force. There seemed to be a developing love affair. And the more time they spent with him, the more uncomfortable I believe they got. And I think the more time they spent with Jackson Dart, the more comfortable they did get with him, and Brian Daboll in particular. Now, you're not drafting necessarily for because the coach may not be here next year or in 2 years or in 3 years. You're drafting for the long haul. So it's not like the coach wants this guy, we're getting him. I mean, in some places it is where you've got Mike Vrabel or whatever. Guy's got pole control over the 53, whatever. But you're trying to think long term. But Daboll, if they're here and as they go through the process, it goes like that. Certainly going to swing it hugely in in Jackson Dart's favor. So Jackson Dart won the pre-draft process. Sheduer Sanders did not. And that was with multiple teams. That was not just the Giants thing. And I understand why the discourse becomes what it becomes, because, you know, we'll say things like, well, he went into his meetings and he made it seem like you're going to bend to me, not me to you, right? And I even heard, you know, goes into one meeting, it's like, well, maybe this is not the offensive system for me. Well, that's what we do here. That's our philosophy. You don't go in there and say that, right? And I know that to a certain segment of the population who is in his corner and was loudly criticizing the NFL and those who are backing up the NFL, I know to them it sounds like that's being subservient, right? Mm-hmm. That's why, you know, this young man should have some say. And as a quarterback, as a franchise quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen scouted receivers last year for the Bills. You do get a say. You do. Sure. But you don't go into a job interview and say, hey, I'm going to change everything about this place. Like, you guys don't know what you're doing. I'm going to redecorate the walls, basically, figuratively. That's what he did. And they're turned off by it because that's not coachable, right? That's not a guy that's going to be part of the whole. And this is a guy who threw his offensive line under the bus previously. How's that going to fly in an NFL locker room? So this is all the stuff that was happening pre-draft. And I'm not saying yes, sir, no, sir. Yeah, whatever you guys say. Yeah,
sure.
Like you can have some personality, you can have some fun, and you can have some pushback during these, but not to the extent that he had if you expect these NFL teams to draft you highly then.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes because I think he has a big opportunity in front of him to where he's still young enough. And God, even at his age, even at our age, I mean, you can always learn from things and you can always get better. You can always improve. And I think for him, he's actually in a good situation because he doesn't have to come in and be the guy right away, nor will he be the guy right away. And, you know, I think for him, with a head coach, and if he's there or not, but who's had a good track record, you know, working with quarterbacks, a good track record, at least an offensive mind, I just think he has an opportunity to change the narrative about himself. And it's not too late. It's not like he's still young enough to change it.
I just feel like change for anybody, is usually a slower process, right? It doesn't happen overnight. So maybe it's not even with the Browns where it happens for him, right? Yeah. Maybe it's, maybe he's got to be released. Like maybe he's got to feel all these lower rungs on the ladder as he falls down to get that feeling of, okay, well, listen, you got to take some lumps. I mean, Dad was famous. Dad was rich. Dad was his coach. Maybe he's got to feel a little bit and go, okay, I get it. Now I understand. Listen, I think the kid's entertaining. I loved watching him play at Colorado. I hope he's successful. I like when just as I like a player to fall in the draft or not. Let me rephrase. You said that I like. You said it. No. Just as you said, I like, or it's positive for ratings. So is when a lightning rod kind of guy succeeds and overcomes these things. That's good for TV as well. So I'm rooting for that.
All right.
I am rooting for that. I am rooting for that.
Okay. We have you on record of saying that. All right. You're the best. We'll cut you loose. Whenever you got to do the show on the golf course, just let me know. It's all good.
How's next week sound?
That sounds perfect. Get your hips through on the turn. Okay.
I'm working on that. Listen, I'm very hands in front guy. I gotta be hips lead the way, get the left hip back and out of the way. It's one of the big things for me. The hell am I talking about this for? Is hand placement in the backswing where it's got to be more here, right? Logo of the glove to the back wall when we're indoors. I'm working with my coach.
Hey, I got a guy for you. I'm going to send me a video of your swing. Yeah. My buddy Travis Fulton is a golf instructor. Hold on.
God bless. Too many chefs in the kitchen already.
I'm just saying he can look at it for you. He's a former golf instructor on Golf Channel.
I'm sure he knows his stuff. I don't want to. I had a guy. I went to. I don't know if you've got a sponsor or whatever. I went to one of the golf places. Yeah. Booked a packet of lessons. Started and the guy 2 lessons in is like, I'm out. I'm quitting. I'm like, dude, come on. So I started with a new guy. He's like, but he said this. No. I know what he said. I'm more about a feel versus real, and so I had to undo that. So
when in doubt, just grab the Ben Hogan book. That's what I do.
Is that
5 lessons with Ben? Yeah, it's in there. I guarantee it's back there someplace. It's the best. All right, we'll see you, Mike.
See you, homie.